As we saw in the last episode, this adaptation of the case might be the most cut down version we've seen yet from the anime. But with just 2 more chapters to go, will we see more changes in this episode? Well, let's find out. This episode doesn't waste any time picking up right where we left off, because the anime skips the first 2 panels of the manga that replayed Hakuba asking if he really is Shinichi and cuts straight to Kuro answering that it was a test. This is a departure from most Conan adaptations. Often we see a lengthy play-by-play of the events leading up to the episode, with the most egregious example being the finale of the case from 17 years ago, replaying the events from the previous 6 episodes for 6 minutes before adapting the rest of the manga. I like how this episode just drops you in such a tense situation without a massive recap. Just like last week, the anime sprinkles in some scenes filling in between the panels, kinda like the focus on Shinichi before bringing up the Beltree Express. This wasn't exactly from the manga, but it helps flesh out the scene with a more dramatic moment. After this, when Hakuba leaves with Nakamori, the shot flips just like last time from left to right. Last week I just brushed this off, but a comment from last video pointed out something really interesting. It's that the shift isn't unintentional. It's positioned to serve the medium. Just like they said, Japanese is read from right to left, so in a manga, the action flows the same way, which is right to left. But in a video, the action universally flows from left to right. So when a director works on an anime, they flow with the same logic and position the action to where your eyes naturally go. This is something that didn't cross my mind, and I am really glad they brought it up. Thank you for such an interesting tidbit about adaptations. I kinda feel like I learned something today. This episode, Nakamori does not have as bad luck as last time, but he does get some of his dialogues cut, especially when the manager shows them the security footage. Here is where Nakamori was supposed to ask if they can start questioning everyone, but instead it just cuts to him finding out that the president went to check the exhibition by himself. To be honest, it is not just Nakamori that gets the short end of the stick this time. The interrogation gets cut down by a sizable amount. When the secretary shows the photo of himself with the president, Conan doesn't ask a follow-up about the president having a beard, and when he shows the mail he received from the president, Jirokichi comments that the secretary got the mail during the blackout, and Nakamori questions why the president would send such a mail. Shinichi tries to chime in and explain that the president might have been worried, but Hakuba grills him on when he entered the exhibition room. And this is when Conan corroborates Kaito's story, so he's off the hook. Also, during the president's wife's interrogation, Kuro comments on how it's weird that the photo frame is that of a recent photo. When Megure arrives, in the manga, Shinichi asks him if his involvement in the case could be left out, which is when Megure asks if Shinichi and Ran are on a date. This was cut from the anime and just goes straight to Megure asking Shinichi and Ran. Shinichi's confrontation with Hakuba is kind of an interesting scene. The anime merges a bunch of panels together. Hakuba and Sonoko's reactions are clubbed together during Ran's and Shinichi's conversation, with Sonoko getting a few extra background lines in the anime. It's kinda cool to see how they use the extra real estate that comes with an anime adaptation. This scene isn't constrained by a small panel in the manga, so I think this is the best use of space while keeping the momentum flowing. The anime also skips the recap Hakuba retells to Megure and cuts straight to Takagi reporting on his questioning of the remaining suspects, but he does not reveal that the president's phone was found in the hallway by the entrance. The scene of Conan figuring out the mystery and relaying it to Kaito plays out just like it did in the manga, with the scene cutting to the commercial break doors when Hakuba notices them talking. This is also the end of chapter 1121. During the deduction, the exchange between the president's wife and manager questioning him if he had seen anything when the president was shot was cut out from the scene. At the end of the episode, it cuts to the credits when Hakuba finds out that Kaito Kid is Shinichi, but the changes are not done yet. Because when Kaito Kid escapes from Ran and Hakuba says that the words Kaito Kid was from Shinichi through Conan, Nakamori butts in and asks Hakuba to explain himself. When Hakuba explains how Conan and Kaito pulled it off, the flashback used is of Kaito yelling at Conan, But in the manga, it was of Kaito asking Conan to sniff him to confirm there was no residue of gunpowder. This scene didn't happen in the anime, so they had to use an earlier shot of Kaito trying to convince Conan from the previous episode. The episode ends with Conan relieved that it was a close call, which is also the end of chapter 1122. This episode cut a bunch of content, from some of the interrogation scenes, to Hakuba and Shinichi's banter, and the location of the president's phone. But you know what, Nakamori didn't get as many lines cut this time, so I'll call it a win. Nevertheless, this was an amazing episode. Maybe not the best adaptation of the manga, but then again, the best adaptations are the ones that capture the essence of the source material, and I think they achieved that with the time constraints that they had. Not to mention some of the best animation we've seen this year for Detective Conan. Honestly, this case was one I was anticipating for such a long time, and I'm so glad we finally got it. And as Watch Forever 24 pointed out in the comments of the last video, this is the final Kaito Kid case in the manga right now. So it is gonna be a really long while till we see him again. Anyways, let me know what you think about this episode, and how is this adaptation? It looks like next week is gonna be an anime original episode, so it's time to go and sleep for another 4 months till the next manga case. But until then, I'll see you guys in the comments.